Red Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get the unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee here, and this is episode 97 of the Red Podcast. So I'm still having issues with my microphone, so I am actually recording off my tablet. And hopefully next week things will get a little better. But nevertheless, I really wanted to get into what happened this past week with the Royal Rumble and with things that's happened on Raw, NXT, and Dynamite as well. But I want to get into some news first. First off, I'm sure that everyone has seen the gear that the New Day was wearing at the Royal Rumble. And apparently they're actually going to auction off that gear as well. They were wearing gear that was showing tribute to Brody Lee, who of course had passed away December 26th of last year. And their gear featured him as the Wyatt family when he was the Bludgeon Brothers, and even when he was in NXT on as Brody Lee, which I would say is one of their best sets of gears that I've seen so far. But they're going to auction off the gear, and the proceeds is going to go to, I think it's the Food Link in maybe Sacramento, or hold on, it's going to a food. Oh, sorry, Rochester. What am I thinking? So the proceeds is going to go to Food Link in Rochester, New York, which is the hometown of Brody Lee. So very good. Even Brody's widow, Amanda, talked about the gear. She didn't know that they were going to do it. I think I saw, but she was very touched by it. Also, I'm sure Lars Sullivan has been released. He actually was released back in January, but WWE hasn't said much about it. From what I read, it was he's been having a lot of anxiety issues. He's very injury prone, and plus, of course, it's everything that has happened as far as the controversy with the things that he has said, and then the porno that he was featured in as well. I feel bad for the whole anxiety issue that he's been going through. But if he is having, I think he had anxiety before this all happened, but before things have really came to a head as far as with what's going on with him. But I don't feel bad for him getting the repercussions for the things that he said, even though he said it a very long time ago. It is what it is, really. If you're going, you have to be careful what you do and what you say. Everyone should know, the golden rule: treat others the way you would like to be treated. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so we have to be careful. I mean, I'm not sitting here acting like I'm a saint or anything. Like, I have said things, I mean, it's not on social media, but I've said hurtful things to people, and I come to regret it. There's skeletons in everyone's closet. But you have to be careful on social media. Now, as far as what he's going to do, obviously, AEW is not going to pick him up. I don't think Impact would pick him up. Probably not Ring of Honor. And I don't know about New Japan, but I think he should definitely focus on himself for right now. And concentrate on getting himself together. If he has all these anxiety issues, and he's injury prone, and he just can't focus on wrestling, he should definitely take care of his health first. Another thing is, I checked out the WWE Icon documentary about Yokozuna. And I have said this before, I was so excited to see this documentary. First off, I was a fan of Yokozuna back in the day. He was a really good heel. Him and Undertaker had pretty good feuds. Him and Bret Hart had a feud as well. And I never knew that he was Samoan the whole time. I didn't know he was Samoan until probably like a couple of years ago, honestly. He played his persona very well. And it's such a tragedy that he passed away so young. I didn't realize he was 34 years old when he passed, which is very young. Very good documentary, very sad documentary. When you hear about the type of person he was and how much he is missed, um, the love that you see from him definitely reminded me of the love that we saw when Brody Lee had passed away. They went through his whole career. We got to see him before he became Yokozuna. Um, his family members was in the documentary. His kids, his sister, his uncles, and they brought in cousins as well. They even had Roman Reigns talking about things with Yokozuna as well. Of course, they talked about WrestleMania 9. I watched WrestleMania 9 live. I was 9 years old. And if you don't know what happened, so there was a title match between Bret Hart and Yokozuna because Yokozuna won the Royal Rumble that year. Bret Hart was the champion, and so it was Yokozuna versus Bret Hart, and WrestleMania 9 took place at Caesar's Palace, if I'm not mistaken, because then the whole theme was like Caesar's, Cleopatra, like Egyptian stuff like that, and so not Egyptian. Well, they had a Cleopatra look-alike, and they had Caesar, and they were wearing togas. If you want to see JR in a toga, you definitely should check that out as well. And so we had the match between Bret Hart versus Yokozuna. And Yokozuna he's athletic for his size. And we're not talking like Braun Strowman or anything like that. No, he was wide. Like, he was pretty big as a wrestler. And really looking back, the fact that he was able to sustain the stamina that he did, it wasn't the best, but it definitely surpassed my expectations of how someone that size should really move around the ring. So the match, the match was fine. And then towards the end, Bret Hart was doing the sharpshooter on Yokozuna. Bret Hart had mentioned how heavy Yokozuna's legs were. And Yokozuna's manager, Mr. Fuji, threw salt in Bret Hart's eyes, blinded him. Yokozuna pins Bret Hart 1, 2, 3, wins the match. Yokozuna's family was there. The whole Samoan family was there. They were saying it's like almost 200 of them. They were very happy because he was actually the first one in the family to win the major WWF at that time championship. And then here comes Hulk Hogan. And they actually brought on Hulk Hogan. If you watch it, you hear Roman Reigns say, "And here he comes." And they talked about Hulk Hogan. So the story is Hulk Hogan comes out, goes over to Bret Hart, sitting there like, "Oh man, are you okay?" Stuff like that. And at the time, I was sitting there wondering, like, I didn't know Hulk Hogan and Bret Hart was cool. And so Mr. Fuji gets on the microphone and he challenges Hulk Hogan to a title shot right then and there. And Hulk Hogan was looking at Bret Hart. Bret Hart still had the salt in his eyes. He waves Hulk Hogan to go get in the ring and challenge Yokozuna. The match lasted for less than 2 minutes. Mr. Fuji went to throw salt in in Hulk Hogan's eyes. Hulk Hogan ducks. Yokozuna gets the salt in his eyes. Hulk Hogan, I think he shoulder blocked him or something like that. I forgot how he got him down. Did the leg drop, pinned Yokozuna, 1, 2, 3. And that was that. Now, they brought on Hulk Hogan to talk about what happened. And he does mention that it was his idea of what happened. So backstage story is that Hulk Hogan was gone from WWF before WrestleMania 9. when he came back, he wanted more say-so in his storylines. And he was planning to leave WWF anyway. And what he said on the documentary is that he went up to Vince McMahon, asked what's the finish, and then said something along the lines. First of all, he said, to the best of my recollection. Then he said, oh, it would be cool if, you get me in there and I face, I take the title off of Yokozuna, and then me and Yokozuna can have a feud and that'll be good for the company, and this, that, and the third. And Vince McMahon said, okay. And so they decided to come up with that spot. Bret Hart mentioned how he found out about the spot that day, that they were going to do that. And a lot of people were very upset when that happened. When I watched it live as a 9-year-old, and even I was sitting there like, what the heck is this? How did Hulk Hogan get a title shot? Because, I thought in order for you to get a title shot, you got to work for it. Just like everything in life, you got to work for it. Honestly, at that time when Hulk Hogan won the title, there was a pop. There were a lot of Hulk Hogan fans. So it wasn't like it would be today where people would have booed or something like that. But I was sitting there like, how did he get a title shot and how did he win the title? But yeah, a lot of people today, and even back then, were very upset with Hulk Hogan that he was able to just come in and just swipe the title off of him. And then after that, Hulk Hogan really didn't wrestle or make that many appearances. And they fought again at King of the Ring that year, 1993, and Hulk Hogan dropped the title to Yokozuna then. So, like I said, there are a lot of people who are upset about Hulk Hogan for his role in all this and for a lot of things that he did back then. But all in all, they went through his wrestling career after that. Of course, he went against The Undertaker. Him and Undertaker were very close. You can see Undertaker looked like he was tearing up. It was a lot of people who were crying, talking about Yokozuna, or his real name is Rodney, in this documentary. And then they talked about how Yokozuna kept getting bigger, which he did. Like, he was, I think, 400 or 500 pounds when he was wrestling in his prime, and he kept getting bigger and bigger. He had to get to like 600 pounds before he had passed. And they tried to get him to lose weight. Now, my issue with this is that with WWE documentaries, of course, they like to rewrite history. And so they had Bruce Pritchard, who mainly told most of the stories. And they had Vince McMahon, too, who told a little bit. But it's like, how much of it is the truth and how much of it, they kind of added in themselves. So, they talked about how they tried to save him and stuff like that. And he kept getting bigger and bigger, and he was eventually released. He went to another wrestling promotion. I forgot what it was. And he tried to wrestle there. And then he was doing a tour overseas. And they was mentioned, I forgot who it was. I don't know. I think it was Savio Vega or somebody. Or Godfather, that was mentioning that, he would sit there and he would like doze off and, have to wake up and catch his breath. And, because of, how heavy he got, he wasn't really eating well too. I mean, there was a story that they mentioned about how much he ate. They even did a vignette too, a backstage vignette of how much Yokozuna was eating as well. And they did it like more of pride than anything else. But of course, he had passed away, I think a few days after that. And that's when things get really sad, because it's like how much potential he had. And it's one of those, what could have been done. But if you haven't watched that documentary, you should definitely check it out. So going into a little bit of news with AEW, AEW has announced that they are working with New Japan, which I kind of figured that would happen, because they do let their wrestlers go over and wrestle with people over in New Japan. So I'm not really that shocked about it. I think what's going to come of it, though, it's going to be a lot of great matchups. It's going to be a lot of great rivalries that we're going to see. A lot of matchups and matches that people probably dreamed of that we'll be able to see as well. So going into the Royal Rumble, overall the Royal Rumble was fine. I wasn't as excited for the men's Royal Rumble as I was for the women's Royal Rumble. And first of all, can I say I was completely wrong on a few things. Completely wrong on a few things. So let me start out with the kickoff match. It was Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Asuka and Charlotte Flair. This is for the Women's Tag Team Championship. This match was only for about 10 minutes. I really didn't check out the pre-show like that. I pretty much tuned in to the match and then I tuned back out. I mean, I had the pre-show on for like a little bit for background noise, and then I kind of like turned it off. I probably was playing a video game or something at that time, and then I watched the tag team match, and then that was that until the main show started. Asuka and Flair, of course, we're all waiting for them to go against each other. We all know that this is the Wrestlemania match that's eventually going to come, and we're waiting for Asuka to turn on Flair or for Flair to turn on Asuka, who knows. But the main point of this was the feud between Charlotte, Lacey Evans, and Ric Flair. During the match, it seems like Charlotte Flair was going to get the pin. Ric Flair music hits, and Lacey Evans comes out and starts attacking Charlotte. Charlotte was trying to do the figure 8. She distracted her, and then Ric Flair gave Lacey Evans, I think it was brass knuckles or something. She did the women's right, knocked out Charlotte, and then Shayna Baszler pinned the champion and was able to now get the titles back. I was kind of watching Nia Jax. Sometimes Nia Jax can make a few slip ups. It's almost as if she doesn't realize her own power. I'll put it that way. But the match was fine. It served its purpose. I just want the tag team titles to mean a lot more. And I would love for the women's championship to feel more important as well. Asuka has yet to really, besides Alexa Bliss, Asuka really hasn't defended her championship that much. It's mainly been her defending the tag team championship. But I'm ready for Asuka to return back to regular Asuka. I feel that more likely, because of everything that's going on with Charlotte is the babyface between his feud with Ric Flair and Lacey Evans, that more likely Asuka would turn heel. And I just want dominant Asuka to come back, the Asuka that we have seen in NXT. This silly Asuka with the dancing, stuff like that. Like I said in the last episode when I was talking about her and Alexa Bliss, makes zero sense. Nikki Cross had faced Alexa Bliss, and the way that Nikki Cross was responding to Alexa Bliss was a lot better than the way they had Asuka doing it. Asuka was looking like she was afraid, where Nikki Cross was looking confused, and then she got pissed off because she wanted to beat up Alexa Bliss, of course. So next up, to open up the pay-per-view, we had Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg. Um, I was completely wrong about this match. Uh, I would have put money down that Goldberg was going to win this match. But we all were right that this match was not going to last long. To be 100% honest, I thought that Goldberg looked gassed from when he came out during his entrance as well. This match from bell to bell was only about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. There was they did fight each other before the bell rang. McIntyre hit Goldberg with a spear, I think it was, and they took the action outside. Goldberg speared Drew McIntyre through the barricade, and Drew McIntyre started to sell the injury to the ribs. So that's why I thought that, okay, here we go. We're gonna start that stuff now. But it was pretty much exactly the way that a Goldberg match will go. Spear, jackhammer. I was a little surprised that he was able to really get him up, but that when he actually hit the jackhammer, it was a little shaky. Claymore, spears, and then Claymore again. Claymore. Drew McIntyre covers Goldberg 1, 2, 3, and he retains his title. And then after the match, Goldberg, was giving Drew McIntyre his props and stuff. But the real question comes, what was that for? I know that Goldberg has to come around to do his contract, just like Brock Lesnar. But what was the point of him getting the title shot? They could have easily had used this opportunity if it's not going to be with Sheamus. Sheamus could have turned on Drew McIntyre a lot earlier, and this could have been a title match. We would have got a better match out of those two than we would have with Goldberg and Drew McIntyre. I am happy that Goldberg didn't win, but I thought he was going to win the title because he would have been the first person in history to have the 3 major WWE/WWF championships. And this is a title that he's yet to win, so I figure he wouldn't pass up the opportunity. I'm really hoping that this is not all for him to go after Roman Reigns. Stay your ass over on the Raw side. Pick a fight with somebody else. Stay away. But this match is exactly what I thought it would be. I was definitely completely wrong about Goldberg, which I was pretty shocked about. After that, we had the SmackDown Women's Championship, Sasha Banks versus Carmella with Reginald by her side. I forgot to mention this when Sasha Banks was going against Reginald. Reginald was making some unique reversals and escape moves, I have to say. So you can kind of tell that he has some wrestling talent there. Carmella's entrance, the light that they shine on her, they need to move it to a different angle because she looks like she got a pillow. It looks like she's wearing a pillow on her back or something. It's just like not really a flattering angle that she does her entrance in. I think the light is behind her or something. It's down low, and that's why she looks like a doll with a short torso and like the longest legs ever. It's not really that flattering. And she also has to change her finisher, the Code of Silence. She should change it because it's very easy for people to get out of, first of all. But she has gotten a lot better in the ring. I give her props for that. She has gotten a lot better in the ring than when she first started. I definitely remember when she won the championship. Some people was happy, some people were not that happy. I was happy for her. I felt as though, to just give her time, but the way she was then and the way she is now is just like night and day. This gimmick works on her. of course, when they first revealed it was her, this gimmick, of course, has been seen before. It kind of works for her, but she just has to change up her moveset a little bit. If she's going to be like Miss Pretty, drinks champagne and stuff like that, doing the code of silence really wouldn't fit that type of moveset, if I make sense with that. Sasha Banks, of course, being Sasha Banks, looking good with her gear and everything like that. She had hit a hurricanrana on Reginald. Then Reginald was ejected from ringside. And then came the spot where Carmella did a suicide dive and landed face first on the ground. And I thought she would have broke her nose or something like that, because that was a very ugly spot. There was a cool reversal from Sasha Banks when she reversed it into the bank statement. And I think Carmella did a good reversal into the Code of Silence. I mean, I don't know if I'm thinking of the last match or this one, but it was fine, something to hold Sasha Banks over with until we get the WrestleMania match that we're all waiting for. After that, we get the Women's Royal Rumble. Now, the setup for this Women's Royal Rumble was very good. Very, very, very good, I have to say. To go through the list of the women that was in the Royal Rumble, first was Bayley, then Naomi, who came out, filled the glow. Bianca Belair next. Billie Kay came out, but Billie Kay was she hung out with the commentators, and then she kept coming out to try to entice everyone to be her tag team partner, which I thought was a cool spot. Shotzi Blackheart comes out. She shot Billie Kay with the cannon from her tank. Shayna Baszler comes out. I think she just pushed Billie Kay down. And then comes out Toni Storm. And everybody's eyes probably went ooh gaga. Then Julianne Hall comes out, which was a bit of a surprise that they chose Julianne Hall. But it worked out because Billie Kay then got her tag team partner. I don't know if I forgot the tag team name that she was saying. I don't know if it was Billy Jilly or Billy. I know she put her name first. I don't know if it was Billy Hall or Billy Jilly or something like that. I forgot. After that came Ruby Riott. And then for number 10, Victoria. I popped for that one. I'm very happy that she got her time in the WWE ring. She was definitely a force to be reckoned with back in the day. And so I was happy that she came out. Peyton Royce came out, number 11, Santana Garrett. And when Santana Garrett came out, and I was like, I don't remember Santana Garrett. I mean, I've definitely seen her before, but I just don't really remember her being used in NXT like that. Liv Morgan comes out, and then Liv Morgan, first of all, with the Shawn Michaels-esque gear. Whoa. Rhea Ripley comes out, of course, after that. Charlotte Flair, number 15. Dana Brooke. Tori Wilson, which, a bit of a surprise. Well, not really. We've seen Tori Wilson before anyway. So I should have known that she was going to come back from being there on the Legends Night at Raw. Lacey Evans, number 18. She came out with Ric Flair, and she was wearing the same coat that Charlotte wore earlier that night. So definitely a troll move. Her and Charlotte went, fought each other right then and there. Mickie James at number 19. Nikki Cross, number 20. Alicia Fox comes out at 21. And then we had, during the Royal Rumble, we had R-Truth, who came out after Alicia Fox, and I thought it was the spot where he thought it was his Royal Rumble. Alicia Fox had then got eliminated, and she pinned R-Truth to win the 24/7 title. Oh no, that happened in the ring. Sorry, she pinned R-Truth to win the 24/7 title, and as this was all going on, Mandy Rose come out, so she didn't even really get her time to shine with her entrance. And then I think after that, Alicia Fox was celebrating or something like that. She gets eliminated, and then R-Truth covered her to win his title back, and then everyone runs out to chase R-Truth and along with Alicia Fox. I get that, we want to have this spot with the 24/7 championship. I think it would have played better with the men's Royal Rumble versus the women's Royal Rumble. It didn't mess up the Royal Rumble too much. But I don't know. The 24 tag team title is not even being really treated as important as the Hardcore Championship. I mean, the Hardcore Championship had its moments, but it was a lot more interesting when the Hardcore Championship was around. So after Mandy Rose, we had Dakota Kai at number 23, Carmella, Tamina, Lana, who came back, Alexa Bliss, who came out. She came out in her playful self, and then she got rolled on by everyone, and then the lights started to crack, and she was standing there, of course, because she was getting into her, final form, and Rhea Ripley just eliminates her. And I was like, smartest woman in the Royal Rumble. You don't sit there and wait for someone to transform before you take them out. So Rhea Ripley stopped the transformation before we got Alexa Bliss final form. After that, we had Amber Moon from NXT at number 28, Nia Jax at number 29, and then, of course, as we knew, Natalya at 30. They played with us a little bit by having Natalya get beat up by Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, and I was like, oh, are we going to do the spot where we get someone who comes out as a surprise? I knew it wasn't going to be Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch had her baby less than 6 weeks ago. She's definitely not recovered to be able to go and wrestle. So sorry to all the people whose heart she broke. I know she tweeted a picture of a curtain and people started going crazy thinking she was returning. I knew she wasn't returning. I knew it was going to be Seth Rollins. Men tend to recover from the birth of a child a lot faster than women. So we'll be lucky if we see Becky Lynch. More likely we'll see Becky Lynch come before Mania, but I knew we weren't going to see her at Royal Rumble. It was too close to the timeline of how long ago she had the baby. As far as who was dominant, Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler showed a lot of dominance. Rhea Ripley had 7 eliminations. Shayna Baszler had 6 eliminations. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax kind of turned on each other, which I was like, okay. We also had the spot where we had Billie Kay, who was teaming up with Jillian Hall at first, and then she kind of teamed up with the Riot Squad, and then she saw Peyton Royce, and she wanted to do her iconic move, but the Riot Squad was right there, who ended up eliminating her. In order of elimination, unfortunately, Shotzi Blackheart was the first one to be eliminated by Shayna Baszler, which, if you wanted to have, if you wanted to get Shotzi Blackheart to be eliminated, Shayna Baszler is probably the best person to have that job. This was a pretty good showing of Bianca Belair and Naomi. Naomi had the elimination where she landed on her back, and then she used Bianca Belair's hair to pull herself on the apron, and they used themselves to pull themselves back into the match. But then Naomi got eliminated soon after that anyway. So, I mean, it's just like Kofi Kingston. You do all these crazy, saves from elimination, and then you get eliminated not too long after that. So, sorry for her. Let me think what else had happened during this match. Lana eliminated Nia Jax. I fully thought that she was going to get put through a table. Her and Natalya was kind of cool, and then Natalya kind of turned on her and eliminated her. The final four of the women's match, I believe it was Natalya, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte, and Bianca Belair. And Charlotte was eliminated, and Natalya was eliminated first, and then Charlotte was after Charlotte was eliminated. We were down to Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair, and I have to say I was very hyped for this. I still had my pick going, Ms. Belair, but both women did a pretty good job towards the end. Definitely showing why people should tune in to NXT. Some people probably feel like Rhea Ripley is being called up. There's really not much. There are other feuds that she could do in NXT, but with the women's division really continuing to grow, there's but so much TV time that Rhea Ripley can get, truthfully. If they treat Rhea Ripley right, she can have some pretty good feuds up on the main roster. Definitely seeing her versus Bianca Belair. Her getting her revenge on Charlotte Flair. Her versus Becky Lynch when she comes back. See that rivalry. Her versus Sasha Banks. We can see her versus Shayna Baszler. They can try to do something with her and Natalya, her and Nia Jax. Let me see. They could probably do something fun with who I was about to say, Carmella. The night and day personalities. Yeah, there's stuff that they can do there. But, if they keep Rhea Ripley in NXT, I wouldn't mind that either. I wouldn't mind that as well. But of course, Rhea Ripley gets eliminated, and we had Bianca Belair, who came out as the winner. Very emotional when her promo was so genuine, and she had me tearing up, because I was like, it's very cool when you can tell someone like genuinely is happy and just genuinely just so proud of themselves for their hard work. And Bianca Belair, I watched something from her before. I mean, she grew up as very athletic, but if I remember correctly, she didn't grow up really watching wrestling that hard. She got in love with wrestling from her husband, and as she was training for NXT. But yeah, I don't think that she grew up watching wrestling. She was just a very athletic woman, and she decided to try out for WWE. Yeah, so she was in CrossFit, and there was a premature end to her CrossFit career. Mark Henry had sent her a message on social media and asked her to try out. And she got her contract, started, working out and stuff like that, and that's how she fell in love with wrestling. I knew it was something. I knew she didn't come through NXT because she wanted to. She grew up watching wrestling, and so I respect her from it. I know people tend to crap on um, wrestlers who just get into wrestling and didn't like grow up. I know that there's people out there, so I'm gonna say that. First of all, a lot of people hold up Trish Stratus as, one of the pioneers in women's wrestling. Trish Stratus didn't grow up watching wrestling. Trish Stratus was a model. She was a fitness model. So when she came into WWE, like I always say, she stunk. She wasn't good in the ring. Check out her first match. It was a tag team match. I forgot who she teamed up with, but it was pretty bad. And then throughout time, she's gotten better and better and better. And I see the same thing with Bianca Belair. When Bianca Belair was in NXT, I could see her potential, but I always felt like there was something missing with her, something that wasn't clicking with her as far as her character. And when I forgot what I watched some like behind the scenes thing with her, and I saw how like genuinely nice she is, and you see it on social media and stuff like that. And I said maybe it's the fact that she's a heel and she's not naturally a mean. She can't be a mean person because she's naturally such a nice person. Maybe that is what was missing. And or maybe that, she just didn't believe in herself as a wrestler. We all remember, what the fuck is his name? Sam Roberts talking about her, how he feels as though she's not worthy to be getting a title shot in NXT. And maybe her seeing the love and the support that she got kind of helped her out as well with her confidence. But she has gotten better since then. And she's gonna go off. She's gonna go to the moon. Go to the moon. But she's gonna go to the moon. And I just can't wait to see what she has in store, the feuds that she's going to get. Of course, she mentioned that she wants her and Sasha Banks at WrestleMania so they could do Black Girl Magic. I'm all for that. I think that match is going to be fire. We're going to be talking about that WrestleMania match as well. But the women's Royal Rumble was very good. Besides that 24/7 part, which I think really wasn't needed for the women. I think it was very good. Seeing Victoria, seeing Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley as the last two, I say very, very good. After that, we get the last man standing match for the WWE Universal Championship. Kevin Owens versus the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. Now, this match lasted for 24 minutes, and I was fine with this match. I think this match was good until the ending. It was crazy. It was different from a lot of the other. It was different from a lot of the other last man standing matches, probably because of them going to that backstage area where we saw the other ring, and they had a lot more space to work with and a lot more toys to play with, I guess I should say. We had this spot where, first of all, crazy Kevin Owens doing a swanton off of the forklift, which could have definitely hurt Roman Reigns. That was a good spot. And then, of course, came the spot that a lot of people talked about. We see Kevin Owens just kind of standing there, and then in comes Roman Reigns with a golf cart and just completely crashes into Kevin Owens. And I cracked up for that spot. I knew people were going to come for that spot because AEW had quote unquote did it first, which I knew people were going to say that, but there is no such thing as doing it first. I could have sworn that WWE also had a golf cart spot. I I don't know when, but I know it had been done. I don't know if if it was back with the Spirit Squad or when Chavo was doing the golf stuff. Like, I could have sworn there was a I could have sworn that there was a previous thing with the golf cart. But of course, people immediately go for, oh, WWE's copying, stuff like that. I really hope WWE keeps that same. I hope people who made that a big thing and just kept complaining about it, I hope they kept the same energy when AEW decided to do a wedding on TV, because WWE is very famous for doing weddings during TV shows as well. But I laughed about it. It's the difference between the two spots. AEW's golf cart spot was more for comedy versus Roman Reigns just really wanted to kill. Roman Reigns really wanted to run over Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens actually jumped into the golf cart, whereas though Sammy Guevara kind of hit the side of it. Roman Reigns, of course, started to bleed a little bit. Then we get to near the stage area, and Kevin Owens handcuffed Roman Reigns. And I noticed the way he handcuffed Roman Reigns, like, I get those so it wouldn't be able to stand up. So he couldn't stand up, but I was very curious how he was going to get out of the handcuffs. I forgot how Kevin Owens got knocked down, but in comes Paul Heyman with them keys, and poor Paul Heyman. This is the guy who had, led the extreme era of wrestling. He had wrestling fans in the palm of his hands. I mean, Philadelphia, you can't come to Philadelphia without an ECW chant. When Paul Heyman was in Philadelphia, it was the greatest thing. Whenever Paul Heyman is seen, it's the greatest thing. A lot of people want Paul Heyman to cut promos on him. If I had the money, I would have Paul Heyman to to just come in and cut a promo whenever I want to raise or something like that. Was the writer in charge of creative in SmackDown, in charge of Brock Lesnar and CM Punk, definitely helped catapult a lot of careers. And my man couldn't get them handcuffs, man. Poor Paul Heyman. I know he was sweating bullets. If this was a cartoon, you would have seen all the sweat come down his face, because he was really trying to get Roman Reigns out of them handcuffs. A referee comes out, starts counting, noticed that Heyman was struggling, and the ref stopped the count at 6 and kind of acted like Roman Reigns was standing. Luckily, Roman Reigns was able to stand. He was able to squat and get on his feet technically, even though he wasn't really standing. And then finally, Paul Heyman was able to get the handcuffs off of them. I think Roman did his finisher, the guillotine, and Kevin Owens passed out, count to 10, and that was that. And our tribal chief retains the title. I didn't see really anyone who thought Kevin Owens was going to win. If you thought Kevin Owens was going to win, I got some bad news for you. I am happy that Jey Uso didn't interfere in the match, that Roman Reigns actually retained his title on his own, to definitely give him more merit as a champion, because we had Jey Uso by his side so much, and Jey Uso helping him to retain the title and things like that. So I was pretty happy that Jey Uso wasn't around, even though I was wondering why Jey wasn't in the Royal Rumble. I was hoping that Jimmy Uso would be in the Royal Rumble so that them two can kind of interact with each other. But from what I read, Jey Uso actually had an injury, so he wasn't really medically cleared at that time. And then we end with the men's Royal Rumble. Randy Orton and Edge coming out number 1, even though I thought it was Randy Orton. And then Randy Orton comes out number 2, face completely healed. I mean, who would have thought that he got burned 6 days ago when he was wearing the mask like he was part of the Dark Order? I would like to know, what did he use to get the burns off his face? Because if, whatever lotion he used to get that burn marks off his face, I can only imagine what it can do to clear up some damn skin. Because I sometimes get the occasional acne on my face like I'm a freaking teenager all over again. But I would love to know what it is that healed his face. If he went to a voodoo priest or something like that, or if he went to Vince McMahon, thinking that he's God, sat there and did some shit and got the burns off his face. I don't know. But we had Edge and Randy Orton going back and forth for quite a while. Edge took out Randy Orton. Randy Orton was selling this knee injury. Then he had to be taken to the back. And then he was gone until the end. I have such a complete problem when that happens during the Royal Rumble. I don't mind it too much when it's, Money in the Bank or, the triple threat matches or something like that, where everyone start at the same time, but you come out as number 2, you're gone for a while, and then suddenly you come back. Like, according to Wikipedia, Randy Orton was in the Royal Rumble for an hour. Randy Orton did not fucking wrestle for an hour, so there should be a little star or something like that next to it to say, actually, Randy Orton did not fucking wrestle for an hour. But no. I didn't like that part at all. So to go down the list, we had Edge, Randy Orton, Sami Zayn number 3, Mustafa Ali, Jeff Hardy, Dolph Ziggler, Shinsuke Nakamura, who came out to his regular music, so I'm sure everybody and their mama was humming and singing to it. And then at number 8, we had our first surprise of Carlito, who looked really good, nice and jacked, tan going on, the muscles was looking very pumped, and he had a pretty good showing. There was a little interaction between him and Shinsuke Nakamura, but he had a pretty good showing, so much so that WWE has decided to give him 3 weeks, I think. I don't know if it's a tryout or they just let him wrestle for 3 weeks. But they let him, wrestle for 3 weeks. And, let's see what's to come of that as well. Definitely wish him all the luck. I thought he was, really cool when he was first wrestling. I think it's, going to be something similar to Drew McIntyre, where, you were fine when you first started out, you go away, you come back, and you're completely a different type of wrestler, even better type of wrestler, I would say. So I am excited to see what they're going to do with Carlito. Xavier Woods at number 9, Big E at number 10, and I don't know why we broke up the New Day just to put the New Day back together whenever they are near each other. I don't know. What's the point? What's the point of putting them back together? I mean, if you really want to, sell the merchandise, stuff like that, put them back together. Let them be a team forever. I mean, how often there are factions out there that has not broken up. I mean, they do their own thing. It's like far as singles, but together they haven't broken up. I know people are going to point to the Shield, but, the New Day is something different. John Morrison at number 11, Ricochet, Elias, and then at number 13, we had Damian Priest, which I am definitely down about. He had a good showing as well. We had The Miz at 15, Matt Riddle, 16, Daniel Bryan at 17, and then the mayor comes out, number 18, a.k.a. Kane. Of course, he's going to come out. I mean, it's probably in his contract to, relieve his duties as a mayor once a year and come and wrestle. From what I read, his paycheck is going to a scholarship fund in his city. He's going to donate his entire salary from the Royal Rumble to there, which, it is what it is, but you have a city to run, But, whoever voted for him, I guess it's fine with him being in the Royal Rumble. King Corbin comes out at number 19, Otis at 20, Dominic Mysterio, then we had Bobby Lashley, and then another slight surprise, which was Hurricane Helms. And I am slightly surprised that he comes out because he was in AEW, and I thought that, WWE has this thing whenever you appear on AEW, you're completely banned from WWE. But I guess they said, fuck it, we need somebody for the spot in the Royal Rumble. And they had Hurricane Helms. And then at number 24 came out Christian. And you see the smile on Edge's face. They even hugged each other, very similar to the best friends type of hug. But, of course, this was so much sweeter that we see them two in the ring together. Number 25, AJ Styles. 26, Rey Mysterio. 27, Sheamus. 28, Cesaro. 29, here comes the Monday Night Messiah, whatever he calls himself, Seth Rollins. And I am slightly surprised that he came back to the same gimmick. I thought that, when you become a dad, all of a sudden, it is kind of similar to, it is kind of similar what I'm about to say, that you want the world to be a better place, you want to be a good guy, and that kind of falls into this character because he wants to do things for the greater good. So I guess it kind of makes sense now. But then number 30, and I thought we was gonna get a surprise return in the name of Brock Lesnar, but then I completely forgot that motherfucking Braun Strowman is back. So that was the entrance of the Royal Rumble. Overall, it wasn't as exciting. This year wasn't as exciting, of course, as last year. But I thought I would be more excited for the matchup. It was pretty much all about, the journey of Edge, but it wasn't as exciting. The surprises weren't like mind-blowing, not as good as the women's Royal Rumble. It was cool to see Carlito. It was good to see Damian Priest, even Christian coming back. But I thought we would see more NXT people. Not to crap on people, but there are some people who, didn't really need to be in the Royal Rumble. And that spot could have gone to someone in NXT just to kind of give people a little bit more excitement. I mean, Dominic Mysterio comes in and immediately and gets eliminated before he gets eliminated by Bobby Lashley as soon as Bobby Lashley comes out. He wasn't even in the ring with his dad, Rey Mysterio. So what was the point of that? And then Otis wasn't in the match for that long either. He was in the match for less than a minute. That spot could have definitely gone to someone as well. It's just that, with the Royal Rumble, it's all about surprises. It's all about who's coming out next, returns and stuff like that. So it really wasn't that exciting. AJ Styles came out with Omos and who eliminated AJ? It was Braun Strowman, and Braun Strowman tried to eliminate AJ Styles at first and then almost caught him and put him back in the ring. And then Braun Strowman tried to eliminate him again and almost threw him back to Omos, and then was like, you know what? You're not on this side. You're not that fast. I mean, you're tall as a building, but your ass is not Superman. And he threw him off the other side. Like I said, it was cool seeing Cesaro. It was cool seeing, Christian and Edge back together again. Cesaro, I think Cesaro did the swing on Daniel Bryan in this match. And Daniel Bryan was just going on and on for what seemed to be like an eternity. People thought that Daniel Bryan was going to win the match. I kind of figured he wasn't going to win it. I had my money on Brock Lesnar coming back and winning. Mustafa Ali has sold the RKO very perfectly when Randy Orton did it on Ali. Of course, we got the New Day mini reunion with Big E and Xavier Woods. Damian Priest got the bit over with his elimination on Kane. And then we get to... I forgot who the final four was on this one. I think the final four was Christian, Edge, Rollins, and Orton, if I'm not mistaken. Then Christian got eliminated. Then it was down to Rollins and Orton. And Edge eliminated Seth Rollins. But of course, Orton was still in the match. Orton comes back and does an RKO on Edge. And then Orton tries to eliminate Edge. But then he was able to counter and eliminate Randy Orton. And so Edge wins the Royal Rumble. And apparently it's 11 years to the date that he last won the Royal Rumble, which I thought it was cool. You know, I figured it's a bittersweet moment of him, you know, finally being able to, because we all knew that he missed wrestling these past, 10 years, nine years that he couldn't wrestle. Very similar to Daniel Bryan. So I was kind of stuck because I was like, and I'm going to contradict myself, and I know I'm about to contradict myself because I thought Brock Lesnar was going to win. And then now people are upset because they feel as though Edge is a part-timer, which technically he's not really. Like, he's going to be around. He would have been around for the whole year if he didn't get injured. I really feel that. And I don't think Edge is around only because it's WrestleMania. Like, we can clearly tell the part-timers because they'll be gone until next year's Royal Rumble. I really feel that Edge will be around after WrestleMania. If he's gone, then I'm going to eat these words. But I feel as though Edge is going to be around past WrestleMania. So I don't really feel that Edge is a part-timer. But on the same hand, I really didn't feel that Edge really needed to win the Royal Rumble in order to get the title shot. But I'm like, I said I'm in like a hard place because, you know, we saw that Edge lasted for a very long time. He lasted for almost an hour. So we can see that he definitely has the wrestling ability. He has the stamina to keep it going. I mean, he did wrestle Randy Orton last year at no, it wasn't WrestleMania. He did wrestle Randy Orton before for about 40 minutes. Actually, it may have been WrestleMania that they wrestled for like 40 something minutes because there was no fans. But they wrestled for like 40 something minutes. And so we know that Edge has the stamina to, you know, really wrestle a pretty good match for a long time. But I feel as though Edge really didn't need the win for Royal Rumble. I mean, Brock Lesnar don't need the win either. But I feel as though Edge didn't really need Royal Rumble to get the title shot. But I feel as though that he got it, you know, because it's the story of him coming back, especially with last year of him getting injured. It wasn't his time. It was Drew McIntyre's time. But now this is his time. And it's very interesting on what's happening because he came out to Drew McIntyre. He has the option to challenge for a title. And normally you think of Raw and SmackDown, but no, Edge went to NXT, and I'll get to that in a little bit, but Edge went to NXT with the interest in the NXT Championship. And I'm like, I'm down to see that. Like, would it be fair if he won the title? Probably not. But I don't think him winning the title is simply him winning the title because out of pure selfish reasons. I think if he won the title, he would definitely want to, feud against a lot of people who he's seen down there, especially since his wife is commentary. I wouldn't be surprised if Edge didn't interact with some of the wrestlers down in NXT and got to know some of them and just like really wish that he could be in the ring with them. I wouldn't be surprised at that. So I'm very excited to see, the matchups. Him versus Pete Dunne, him versus Finn Balor, him versus Karrion Kross. What? But I know that I highly doubt that Edge is going to go after Roman Reigns. I feel as though that's going to we'll see the winner, the person who will be challenging Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber. I think it makes more sense for Edge versus Drew McIntyre. They did have that bit of back and forth on Raw where Edge was kind of telling him like, "Yo, you don't be nice to me. I might be coming for your title. You really shouldn't be nice for me." And had Sheamus not had turned on Drew McIntyre, we could have had, Christian kind of come back, and we could have had Edge and Christian versus Drew McIntyre and Sheamus type of situation. But now that Sheamus kind of turned on Drew McIntyre, we have to take care of that matchup, which probably is going to happen for Elimination Chamber. Sorry to everyone, I don't think that's going to be the WrestleMania match. I think that's just going to be the feud to hold over until WrestleMania, until when Edge goes against him. Now, if Edge decides to go after the NXT Championship, I'm all for that, for the NXT Championship to be featured on WrestleMania, which I think should be a thing. I think whoever has the title should definitely, be challenged at WrestleMania. That should be a given goal of whoever holds the NXT Championship, that they get to, it may take them away from NXT Takeover, but NXT Takeover can definitely shine without without the NXT Championship. An NXT Championship should be featured at WrestleMania. But overall, Royal Rumble was a pretty good pay-per-view. It had its ups and downs. The men's Royal Rumble wasn't as exciting as it would be last year, but it definitely was a pretty good pay-per-view. Now, I thought that Brock Lesnar, like I said, was going to come back because I thought it would be the matchup between him versus Roman Reigns because of Paul Heyman. It's going to put Paul Heyman in a very difficult place because for the past couple of months, he has been with the Tribal Chief, staring such a hole into Roman Reigns. I'm surprised Roman Reigns does have brain damage from how much that Paul Heyman has been staring at him, looking at his shiny hair, and probably saying in his head how gorgeous the guy is in person and up close. But I figured it would put, Paul Heyman in a very difficult position because he has both of his people, feuding against each other. And it's pretty much like, who will Paul Heyman go with? Will he go back to Brock Lesnar, or is he going to stay with the Tribal Chief because he's scared to death of Roman Reigns and the whole squad that he has with him? I was hoping that maybe we'll get the Usos back and then we would have the whole tribal clan. I'm hoping that we are building to a tribal clan. It would be kind of a waste to have Jey Uso to join Roman Reigns and do this whole head the table if we're not going to have a clan to go after it. Like, pull some inner circle type of stuff. Him, the Usos, Naomi, Tamina. You could get Nia Jax in there and have a whole Samoan dynasty just wrecking the house. Like, can you imagine that? I mean, I know people probably going to crap on the fact that it's Nia Jax and Tamina, but when Tamina was in, I forgot the team. I think it was called Team Bad or something like that with Sasha Banks and Naomi. She was pretty good, I have to say. She was pretty good. But I'm just hoping that we get a whole tribal clan going. That's what I hope for. So, I'm going to be completely honest. I watch full shows of wrestling. So, I'm not going to go over all 3 hours of Raw. I'm not going to go through all of NXT or AEW. To be honest, I watch highlights of AEW because I didn't get really a chance to watch AEW Dynamite. I was on the podcast with Julian and Kevin on Wrestling Court Podcast. Be sure to check that out. And normally I catch, I'll catch the stream live, or I can just watch it back that night, but I just didn't. I mean, I had time after I got off the podcast, but I just didn't. I watched a little bit of AEW Dynamite right after the podcast, and then I watched NXT on Hulu. But of course, when you watch it back on Hulu, it's like very condensed down. I mean, but it's condensed to like the good parts. So NXT was condensed down to about an hour. Raw was condensed down to like an hour and a half. So trying to pull up the matches of Raw so I can kind of go over my overview, and my computer is acting slow. But yeah, as far as Raw this week, from what I saw, it was okay. We got Edge versus Randy Orton once again, but and we had Edge and Drew McIntyre open up the show. Drew McIntyre talking about how, you know, happy he is with Edge and stuff like that. Edge, like I had said earlier, comes out and say, "What are you being nice for? I might be coming for your title." And then that's when we got Sheamus, who turned on Drew McIntyre, and so we're gonna have that feud coming up as well. After that, it was Bobby Lashley versus Matt Riddle, which I didn't watch. Anyway, from what I've seen, it was a quick match. I'm not really that interested in Riddle versus the Hurt Business anymore, because they keep having Riddle do this whole bro stuff, and I don't really see him being taken that serious. If, you know, being a serious contender for going after the match. Then we had Xavier Woods versus Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali and this whole thing with him and Kofi Kingston is gold. I am very surprised to see Kofi Kingston kind of like quote unquote back, is able to like be around, and I'm hoping, I don't think he'll be cleared by WrestleMania time, but Ali cutting these promos of how he is taking Kofi Kingston's spot, and Kofi Kingston's going to be watching him from home and stuff like that, it definitely has elevated my interest in Mustafa Ali. Maybe not Retribution, sorry to say, but Mustafa Ali definitely. After that, we had the Miz TV, which featured Bad Bunny. And I watched that performance of Bad Bunny. I forgot to mention it. I'm getting old, yo. I'm just realizing I'm there. I'm there. I heard of Bad Bunny. I've seen a little bit of the video. I've yet to hear the full song until Royal Rumble. I thought part of it was in English, but the whole thing was not in English at all. All he says, but he does say Booker T. Booker T stands there like he is a statue, like he is in the streets of Compton or something like that. I know in the video he dances a little bit, but he was just standing there. It wasn't really a good performance, and I didn't really see the hype in Bad Bunny. Sorry to say, I'm going to be that person. Let me get out my walker and say, back in my day. But the performance wasn't really that good. And I've seen people on Twitter say the performance is that good, so I don't feel like I'm being a bitter older person. But then during the Royal Rumble, The Miz destroyed the DJ booth, which, okay. And Bad Bunny apparently got upset about it. If you didn't want your stuff being destroyed, why did your DJ leave out laptops? Normally, DJ pack it up. You pack all your shit up. You don't leave 2 laptops out there for it to get destroyed. Because what's the difference of Miz destroying it and it get destroyed during the last man standing match? Okay? We definitely wouldn't have seen Bad Bunny come out if it was the tribal chief who destroyed his little DJ booth. But then we see Bad Bunny come out, and I think it was during the Royal Rumble, and he did a splash onto The Miz and John Morrison. That splash was a heck of a lot better than what Snoop Dogg did, though. But on Raw, we had Bad Bunny, who came out to talk with The Miz and Morrison, and then Bad Bunny mentioned he's not by himself, and out comes Damian Priest. So I don't know if this is a call up. I don't know if this is just Damian Priest, having his time to shine. I'm not 100% sure, but I like Damian Priest. I hope they don't fuck him up. I don't have high hopes for them keeping him the way that he was. Don't change his moveset. First of all, strike one, they messed up the entrance, because normally when he pulls back as he's shooting the arrow, normally the timing of the name is like perfect. But he gets on a Raw, and the damn name was delayed like 5 seconds. So Damian Priest had to stand there looking all awkward after he done shot an arrow like 20 seconds ago. But, Damian Priest is now up for all eyes to see. It's just very a shame that casuals do not know these wrestlers from NXT, so they know the talent that they see in front of them. But it looks like we're going to get Damian Priest versus The Miz. I don't really know how to feel about that, really. I really don't. Then we have the Hurt Business versus Lucha House Party. I didn't check it out, but I'm hoping that Lucha House Party on Raw was just as good as they were on NXT, because they have the talent. I mean, we've seen it at that tag team elimination chamber. It's just the fact that they don't really show it that often on TV. And then we get the triple threat number 1 contenders match with Asuka and Charlotte versus Lana and Naomi versus Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, which I actually watched. I actually watched that live, and I was surprised with Naomi and Lana. I know they teamed up before, but I didn't get the backstory of who asked who to become tag team partners. We're missing that. I know people crap on backstage segments, but that's a backstage segment we should have gotten, because where did that come from? Of course, Charlotte is there, and we had Ric Flair and Lacey Evans who come out as distraction. Charlotte leaves Asuka on her own, and then Asuka was sitting there like, what? And then Asuka got pinned by Naomi, because Asuka was sitting there like completely dumbfounded. Asuka was looking confused when Charlotte tagged her in. She gets into the ring and was sitting there standing at Charlotte like, why you tagged me in? And just kept staring at Charlotte while she was waiting for Naomi to set up for the spot. I cannot wait for Asuka to just go off. I guess she would have to turn heel in order for us to get her, the way that she is supposed to be. But this baby face dancing, I'm so scared, confused Asuka, I don't really like it. I don't dig it at all. But we got Naomi and Lana to get the number 1 contender spot for the tag team champions, with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. And I guess storyline, that's, it is what it is, because it's Lana, but I don't get where Naomi comes from. I would have expected for wait, I think isn't Natalya on SmackDown? That's why they're separated. I don't know. After that, we get Carlito and Jeff Hardy versus Elias and Jackson Riker. I completely missed that match. I hope that he did good. I didn't even watch highlights or anything, so I'm hoping that Carlito did good and that him and Jeff Hardy kind of put on a good show. He only gets like 3 weeks before I guess WWE decides if they want to keep him or not. After that, it was Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Cross, which I got to check out. Nikki Cross in this match was 10 times better, reacting to Alexa Bliss' mind games than Asuka. We had Alexa Bliss, who, first of all, Academy Award goes to Alexa Bliss. This character that she is playing, I know there's gonna be people who are gonna come for my neck. I know that there are intense Alexa Bliss fans, but I'm gonna say it. This character that she is playing is better than the Goddess character. This character is so complex. We still don't know who the hell she is. It's a lot of mystery to it. There's mind games. She's fucking with people's minds. And I love it. And one of the best things, the fact that they don't have any fans, is that they can pull off these switcheroos that she has with her character. They wouldn't have been able to really do it if it was in a live audience. They would have to either cut off the lights, or they would have to do something where she has to go into the backstage area and then come out in the new outfit. But she was doing hopscotch, and she did hopscotch while Nikki Cross was on the ground, and then kicked her. She got thrown into the corner. Nikki Cross went to go attack her, and then she comes back to the Goddess character, and you can kind of see that she was kind of acting normal, but you can kind of tell that it was still the Firefly Funhouse Alexa in there. And so then Nikki Cross went to attack her, and she had switched back to the Firefly Funhouse Alexa Bliss. And let me see. She tried to do she didn't go into final form. She didn't go into final form. But she did hit this modified Sister Abigail, which I'm completely fine with. That was pretty cool, and it looked painful when she did it as well. But I'm completely fine with her doing these transformations as well. After that, we had Edge versus Randy Orton. This was a pretty good match. It did feel a little bit too long. I don't know why whenever Edge and Randy Orton get together, they decided to have these clinics. I'm not complaining too much about it because it was, they have very good chemistry, of course. But my gosh, this day and age, like, I remember when they used to do, there was a, not even, I think it was an hour long Iron Man match. I think that was done before, but normally we get the 30-minute Iron Man matches and stuff like that. And yeah, it was Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels that went for 60 minutes. And then we had the Fatal 4-Way 60-minute four-way Iron Man match. But getting these type of matches on Raw after 3 hours, you kind of feel a little bit exhausted. Especially if you're sitting live, the fans are probably a bit exhausted at that point. I mean, it was a good match, but it was just pretty long, I have to say. Towards the end, though, we had the Alexa Bliss Firefly music kind of play, and she was standing there looking fucking freaky as all hell. She had this dark blood coming out her mouth. It reminded me of Batman Returns when the Penguin got shot and he was dying, and you see the blood come down his mouth. That's exactly what I thought of when I saw it with Alexa Bliss. Randy Orton, got distracted, and Edge was able to get the pin. And that was the end of Raw. So we're still getting this back and forth between Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss. And they had an interesting interaction earlier that day, too. After Alexa Bliss was done with her match, Randy Orton was coming out for his match, and they passed each other. She was staring him down, yo. She was like, yo, you jump, if you make one move, it's over for you. As small as she was looking like, if you make any moves to me, yo, it's on, okay? It reminded me of those times where someone is talking trash to someone, either on the phone or online or whatever, and they sat there and said, yo, it's on site. Next time I see you, it's on site. And then the two people sue each other, and you see one person not even looking, and the person who, the person who was talking all the crap wasn't even looking, acting like nothing happened, what are you talking about? And the person who, was being crapped on was sitting there like, I thought it's on site. And that kind of reminded me of Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton. Alexa Bliss was sitting there like, yo, I thought it was on site. What's up? What's up? Randy Orton sitting there like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not even that serious, yo. I'm just sitting here. I'm just trying to wrestle my match. I'm trying to go against Edge. He took away my WrestleMania win. I thought that was funny. Getting into NXT, I'm going to go over some of the matches here. We had the Women's Tag Team Classic, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez versus Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro. This was a pretty good match. Gonzalez and Dakota Kai are really good, and so is Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro. I'm very happy that these two are a tag team. Casey, oh my gosh, definitely have improved since she started, because she came from American Ninja Warrior, and so she really didn't have that much wrestling training. And Kaden Carter, she was pretty good in her singles run before she teamed up with Casey, but it's just it felt like they really didn't have anything for her, so she was just kind of like wrestling matches just to be featured in NXT. But I'm very happy that these two are a tag team. Now, they did lose this match, but I have high hopes that they're going to continue to team up. Especially if WWE decides to bring the women's tag team belts to NXT to be defended. After that, I didn't check out Austin Theory versus Leon Ruff. I told you, whenever they do this condensed down version on Hulu, they kind of skip things, so I didn't see that match. I did check out Lucha House Party versus Legado del Fantasma. That was a pretty good match. Lucha House Party on NXT, you can give me that all day, because it let them be more serious, and it let them concentrate more on the wrestling factor versus them, dancing around saying lucha with the piñatas and all the other stuff. After that, we had Pete Dunne, who called out Finn Balor. They were going back and forth a little bit, and out comes Edge. And I was like, oh yeah. So Edge comes out, mentions how he won the Royal Rumble. He's able to challenge for any title that he wants. And he said, he sees the NXT Championship. He finds it interesting because he never had it before. And he looked at Pete Dunne. He said, I look at you, and I told you before, you kind of remind me of me 10 years ago. And he was like, yeah, you can go ahead and, shrug his shoulder. Is that what I would have done that to 10 years ago, pal? And I was like, oh, you sound very old with saying that, yo. And then he goes to Finn Balor, mentions Finn Balor is on a whole different level, and that excites him. And he mentions how NXT concentrate on the second W in WWE versus the E, and I was like, yes. That is the first time I've ever heard that description said, and I was like, that makes so much sense. NXT concentrates on the second W, whereas though the main roster concentrates on the E. I mean, he said it's something. He said more like, NXT concentrates on the second W versus the E, and I was like, yes. And he mentioned how that excites him, and I was like, that is such a good description of NXT. It concentrates on the second W, which is all for it, and which is why I wouldn't mind if Edge were to challenge for the NXT Championship. If he wins or loses, is definitely going to put eyes on NXT. It'll put casuals on NXT. If they want casuals to start tuning in to NXT, that's definitely one of the ways to do it. But yeah, he mentioned how he's going to be watching the match. If he doesn't make his choice, by the time we come across TakeOver Vengeance, then, maybe whoever wins will influence his choice. After that, I didn't check out the Toni Storm match. I'm slightly sad about that. Actually, no. I caught the end of it because Io Shirai comes out and attacks Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez as well. So yeah, I did kind of catch that matchup, I should say. And then we had Santos Escobar versus Kurt Stallion. I have to sound like my boy John Silver if you ever seen the Being the Elite series. Who the fuck is Kurt Stallion? Just like how he says, who the fuck is Griff Garrison? I don't know who the hell Kurt Stallion is. I don't know where he came from. I've seen the backstage segment with him and Malcolm Bivens, I think his name is. I don't know. I mean, it was a good match, so, he definitely looked like, one of the, definitely can handle as far as the cruiserweights and stuff like that. But as far as, with, this matchup, this was a pretty good matchup. We had, Scarlett, who was watching the match, and Santo Escobar was kind of, seeing her too. It was like, oh, you're here to watch me. Where's your man at? Santo Escobar was able to win the match, and I think he has had the title now for over 280 days or something like that, which I'm completely fine with because he really does elevate the Cruiserweight Championship. After that, Karrion Kross comes out. Karrion Kross is just all over the place. He is willing to fight whoever, wherever, for whatever title. I'm not really mad at that. I'm fine because he is a bit chaotic, so I'm fine with the bit of chaos of him like appearing to want to fight everyone. But he came out to talk crap to Santos Escobar, and I love the way Santos Escobar reacted to Karrion Kross comes out because he was nonchalant. He wasn't scared at all. Karrion Kross comes up to his face and everything like that. He was sitting there smiling like, you ain't gonna do nothing. So I loved it. I loved that interaction between them two. And then we come to the main event. Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa versus Adam Cole and Roderick Strong. That team reminds me of Sheamus and Cesaro. That they had such a big feud. But as a tag team, they worked really well. And of course, Undisputed Era is one of the best teams in NXT. And so it's just like, it was really good. It was a really good match. Definitely a really good match to end NXT with. And I was pretty surprised that Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher had won the match. I thought it would be the Undisputed Era. Because I thought it was going to be Undisputed Era versus Imperium. I thought it was going to be Undisputed Era versus Imperium, probably in the finals. But both teams got eliminated. So, wow. There's that for, changes. But overall, that was that show ended very good. So going into AEW, which I really didn't watch that much of, we had the tag team battle royal, which I caught the end of. I was completely confused as to why the Young Bucks were in this, because the stipulation was if the Young Bucks win the Battle Royal, they get to choose who they would go against for the belts. And I was ready to be pissed off because I was like, if the Young Bucks win this match, then what was the point of having this Battle Royal? In the end, it was Chris Jericho and MJF who won the Battle Royal, and if I remember correctly, there was that bit of a I think Sammy Guevara got eliminated or something like that because of MJF and Chris Jericho, because when they were celebrating, you see Sammy Guevara kind of go up on the stage like very pissed off. AEW love their battle royals. They love these tag teams, so why not put the two together? But I do like the fact that, you know, it didn't have to be one person was eliminated and the whole team was eliminated, because that's very annoying. I like the fact that it was like individuals but team as well. Let's see. I didn't check out Darby Allin and Sting address the Revolution street fight. I am interested to see this matchup. I know a lot of people crap on Goldberg, but keep that same energy for Sting, because Sting is older than Goldberg. But like I always say, I'm just gonna hold my breath with this whole Sting thing. Maybe he'll fucking surprise us. I don't know. Of course, he's not gonna wrestle that much. He's not gonna pull off a 30-minute bout. But it is good that he is teamed up with Darby Allin. It seems like he is being used to kind of put over Darby Allin because they are very similar. They have the same matching face paint. Well, not really matching, but they both like to wear face paint, just one on, one half. But I didn't check that out. I saw part of Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker live. I was kind of peeking at it while I was on the podcast. And this was a pretty good match. Thunder Rosa, like I said, AEW needs Thunder Rosa. They definitely need a veteran who can definitely help put over the women's division, because the women's division in AEW is suffering a lot. And so I felt as though they need Thunder Rosa. And so this definitely has helped Britt Baker as far as, in-ring ability and her heel work. So I am completely fine with them continuing this feud. Britt Baker won this match, which I was a little surprised about. But I guess this is going to be a big build for Thunder Rosa to get her win. After that, we had Hangman Page and Matt Hardy versus Chaos Project. Not quite sure why we have Matt Hardy around. I could have sworn that this is going to be the whole, Hangman Page in the Dark Order, to kind of keep the Dark Order in the light. But Matt Hardy's trying to recruit Hangman Page for some reason. I don't really get it. And then we had the wedding of Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. This was pretty funny. Miro was definitely, learning his lessons from previous weddings in WWE. When the officiant was like, when the minister was saying, like, if anybody objects to the I do's, and you see Miro cut that off and was like, no. He's like, I've seen this too many times. We're just going to skip over this part. And then we were able to see the wedding actually come to a close. Penelope Ford and Kip Sabian, like, making out, like, goodness gracious. I mean, Penelope Ford is hot, so I don't really blame Kip Sabian for going like that, but, there's been so much time in this 2-hour show. Chuck Taylor mentioned that he brought a gift for Miro, and Miro was like, I've seen this before, and he attacks the gift. Come to find out, it was, I don't even know if there was anything in there except for tissue paper. Then Chuck Taylor kind of handcuffed Miro to the bottom rope and started attacking Kip Sabian. Penelope Ford got knocked into the cake. And then afterwards, Orange Cassidy was actually inside the cake table, and they started attacking Kip Sabian and Miro as well. So that 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 whole segment really didn't do too much for me. I would have popped a little more harder if I would have popped if it was Trent that had came back. Because with Orange Cassidy really don't give us any emotions, so it wouldn't have been really that big of an emotional payoff with Chuck Taylor having to be the butler. I would have wished that he would have been the butler for a little bit longer, and that way they would have forced him and Trent to kind of go against each other a little bit. That would have got more emotional. That would have been a lot more emotional if it was them two versus him, Chuck Taylor telling Orange Cassidy that he's no longer a best friend. Um, then we had the lumberjack match, Lance Archer versus Eddie Kingston. I didn't check out this match, and I feel like I don't know if I should turn around and check it out. I'm not sure. And then I completely missed John Moxley, Ray Phoenix, and Pac versus Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. I should definitely go check out that match. But I did see that Kenta has appeared. Because AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling have an agreement to open, to work together. So seeing Kenta come and attack John Moxley, chef's kiss, chef's kiss. He even did the go to sleep on Moxley, even though it was a little awkward. The knee didn't get high enough to connect with Moxley, or Moxley kind of went back too quickly. But still, this was a very good appearance by Kenta. With I think he was rocking purple hair. And I heard that with this match really had to be edited, because of the Good Brothers just really doing some weird shit. I heard that this is the most edited show that they had to do because of what they were doing. I'm gonna go check that out though. Of course, I'm a fan of Ray Phoenix. I'm a fan of Pac. Ray Phoenix is not a human being, so I know he did some crazy shit in this match as well. But Kenta, appearing in AEW, I am down for whatever feud, for this feud between him and John Moxley to play out as well. But overall, as far as wrestling this week, it was pretty good. We have SmackDown coming this Friday. Of course, it's going to be the Fallout with Kevin Owens and the Tribal Chief. I'm sure we're going to see Edge appear on SmackDown to kind of go face to face with the Tribal Chief. And, I cannot wait for the Tribal Chief to talk that shit against Edge. Telling Edge how he had to hold down the fort. He had to hold WWE on his back because Edge got hurt. I am ready for Roman Reigns to come at Edge. Of course, we're going to see Bianca Belair. Hopefully, we'll see her officially challenge Sasha Banks for the title so that we can get that good old WrestleMania build. I am ready for that match. What else we're going to see? Whatever Bayley's going to do, whatever whatever Carmella is going to do as well. If Jey Uso's going to come back, I don't think he'll be medically cleared by that time. We also have, Apollo Crews, Big E, and Sami Zayn, the fiasco with the IC title. I'm hoping that Apollo Crews appearing with the Tribal Chief wasn't just a one-off, like, Apollo Crews needs some fucking help, like, help him, Tribal Chief. I don't think he took notes, like I had said, because, I don't think Apollo Crews took notes on how to be, how to take advantage of the island of relevancy. But yeah, we have an interesting SmackDown coming tomorrow as well. And that's it for the WrestleBread podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Shout out to Julian Rob Bates from Wrestling Court Podcast on TurtleMinds.com. I was on their podcast this week, so be on the lookout for that episode to come out. Keita and Jay from the Keita and Jay Show, Chris from We Talk Next podcast, which is featured on the Keita and Jay Show, Nando and Larry from Half K Podcast, Devin Hafiz from Clark Street Wrestling. And I checked out Dirty Heels podcast. I mentioned I am going to give out more shout outs, but I have to, it's a lot of podcasts who I'm interacting with, so I got to set up my schedule so I can actually listen to everyone's podcast. Because I don't want to give shout outs to podcasts and I didn't listen. That's not, I want to shout out podcasts who I actually listen to. And so I did check out Dirty Heels podcast. Shout out to them. I checked them out this week. Also, shout out to Straight Talk Wrestling as well. Check them out as well. You can find me on Twitter at JD Talks, JAYD Talks. You can follow the podcast at WrestleBread.com. You can find the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to the podcast. Last month was pretty crazy. I had 588 listens to the episodes last month. So thank you all for listening. Be sure to let me know what you like. It's a lot of you guys listening out there. Let me know what it is that you like. If you want me to do, reviews of all past pay-per-views or something like that. If you, whatever, like I said, I have a special episode 100 coming up. It looks like it's going to be it's going to be a special episode that's going to take place after, Takeover that Tuesday. And I plan to do an Ask Me Anything. I know I say anything, but I know it's social media. I know I'm going to get some crazy questions. I'm not answering the crazy questions. So if in doubt, don't ask. But I will answer questions. Get to know me. Like I said, I watch football. I play video games. I watch wrestling, stuff like that. So whatever questions you want to ask, I will be answering them live. I might be live streaming. I don't know, with the fact I'm having these mic issues. And I tried to work my video on my laptop the other day. It's just that I don't know. We'll see. Okay, your girl has to see if I can actually live stream. I'll at least film it and then probably edit it for YouTube. But be on the lookout for that as well. We have a Super Bowl weekend coming up. I am always a fan of Super Bowl, so I cannot wait. No, I will not be having a Super Bowl party, but I normally order wings and watch the Super Bowl with the family. As far as who I have winning, very tough to say. I like Kansas City. I have used Kansas City in fantasy leagues. The year that I won in my league that I hosted, I was using the Kansas City defense. Shout out to them. But I am excited for the city of Tampa Bay. They went through a lot with the previous quarterback before they got good old Tom Brady. But it's Tom fucking Brady. Am I a hater of Tom Brady? Yes. He's married to a hot supermodel. He's living his life. He walks around like his crap doesn't stink, because it probably doesn't. And I'm going to hate on that. He had all these rings. He had all these rings, and my former quarterback, Tony Romo, didn't get any rings. So fuck Tom Brady. I feel bad for all those Patriot fans who sat and laughed in all of our faces all these years because you guys were all living nice, and now y'all got Cam Newton. And so you guys are on the couch like the rest of us fucking common folks. So that's what happens when you sit there and talk a lot of shit because you're doing very well. And come to find out, it's only because of one damn man, and that man is Tom Brady. I appreciate Tom Brady's ability. It's just the fact that that guy, that guy, he's just living his life, and I'm hating on it. I am hating on it. But I'm gonna go with Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is a different human being. He is not from this world. He is from the future, who learned advanced techniques of football and has come back so that he can get a lot of money. Change my mind, okay? But I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. I'm happy that we're going to get fans at the Super Bowl. There'll at least be some actual crowd. So if they're going to be boos, they're going to be boos. Funny thing, funny story is in Philly. First of all, I live in Philly. If you don't know, I'm not an Eagles fan. I'm actually a Cowboys fan. And yes, I live in Philly. So yeah, okay. I'm not scared. I wear my Dallas gear outside. People make jokes, but nobody comes at me because probably because I walk around looking like I'll kick your ass if you say anything to me. But there was a game at the Lincoln Financial Field that the Eagles played at during the pandemic, so there were no fans there. And Carson Wentz did some stupid shit, and I think he got intercepted or something like that. And the people who were playing the fan sounds actually played the sound of them booing Carson Wentz, because that's what would actually happen if the fans were actually there. I am interested to see what happens next year with the Eagles. I'm interested to see what happens with the Cowboys as well. Especially what the hell we're going to do at quarterback, how much we're going to pay him. I don't think he needs to be paid like Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes done messed it up for everyone with this extreme ass contract. I wouldn't be surprised if we find out a little later on down the line that Patrick Mahomes is actually owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, the way that he had his contract set up. But I am interested to see what all goes down. I am slightly sad that the football season is coming to an end, but I am happy because I'm hoping by the time the next season starts, we'll actually get fans again, and we'll actually get it'll feel like more of a authentic game than them piping in crowd sounds. Even though they did a really good job. It sounds, like an actual game, but then you see nobody's sitting in the seats. And you don't have cheerleaders on the sidelines or anything like that. But I am excited for the Super Bowl. I love seeing the commercials. I'm sure people aren't going to be excited for the halftime show. I know it's the weekend. There hasn't really been a good halftime show since Prince. I'm going to sound very old saying that. There hasn't been a lot of good halftime shows since Prince. Let's see. I remember when Aerosmith did a halftime show. Michael Jackson, of course, did a halftime show. I mean, there were some good ones after Prince, but nothing tops Prince halftime show. Especially him playing Purple Rain when it was raining. So... but I am excited for this. Can't wait to see what the final game of football will be. And I think the Pro Bowl was virtual or some stupid crap like that. But, it is what it is. But thank you so much for listening, especially if you were listening live as well. I will be live every week on Thursday on Mixler. And I will do special episodes on Tuesdays after pay-per-views. So I will be doing, I more likely will do a special episode after TakeOver. And I will be doing a special episode after the Elimination Chamber as well. So every Thursday, 9 o'clock on Mixler. Tuesdays, I will announce if I will be doing the Tuesday at 9 o'clock on Mixler as well. Thank you so much for listening, guys. And until next time, guys, peace.